We're going to the Dark Mirror. It's an oracle deck. I didn't think we were going there, but it's where we're going. I keep getting, and then there were dragons, and then there were dragons all through here. We'll go to the dragon deck in a minute. The temple of my body and the addicted. The obsession, the colorless angel, and the anger and change. This is the lesson of the saboteur and the prostitute going on. What this is whether you want to take it as the typical legal definition of prostitute or not, the literal definition, or whether this was a point where you had to sell out to survive. There was something going on, creating crisis, an obsession you had. It caused you to lose color over a period of time. There was addiction, obsession, this fading, even though it feels like ownership of your situation, your body and your physical situation was not yours. And then there were dragons. We're looking. There's a sense of being a pawn. Ooh, this is death and moving on to dragon space. So what happened? This one's right here. Give me a second. Somebody else did a power play and puffed himself up in a big way. I don't know if it was a prearranged marriage type of situation, but somebody got the upper hand, or you were perhaps doing like a compensating for somebody else's lack. And it feels very much, it feels like, you know, what was that show where? It was Deadwood. It was Deadwood, where this one chick had to be married off to this other dude to pay off the father's gambling debts. And then the father went and gambled some more. And so the daughter was pretty much sold out. And it feels like that. Now, whether this was a choice that you made willingly or not, it feels more like a pawn. Like this was the cards you were dealt. Here's this new opportunity, but it's making somebody look bigger than what they are, and it's not making you very happy. Yeah, it was one way to see it. It was one way of dealing with the karma. It wasn't your favorite. And I think that there was a cost to it that you didn't foresee. In this case, the cost you didn't foresee is like part of this was, I guess I would say it is the fate of color here, because you forget who you are. It's like in this, we're seeing the bear and the dragon carrying whatever, and it's like you forget even who you are or how you're capable of operating. You feel stuck, grounded, stagnant. Yeah, this didn't play out right at all. This wasn't how it was supposed to go down. This wasn't supposed to be your battle. You looked at something, wrapped yourself up in it, got enmeshed and entangled, and you took somebody else's lesson. So by doing so, by saving, like in the Deadwood example, she saves the father that penalty of what happens with gambling, and he doesn't learn the lesson. She ends up paying the higher price. She does end up having addiction issues going on too. It feels like this kind of is how it is in this particular situation. I think that you were the pawn, whether it was willing or not. It was like, it's what went down. And instead of having this moment where you move forward in life and celebrate and everything's all great and tra-la-la, victory, sunshine, And all of this synchronicity, here you are, like out in the cold and the ice, and you didn't get to shine, you didn't get to sparkle, you got played, is what I'm getting. And you were part of the choices, not all of the choices, but part of the choices in such a circumstance. Then what? It literally says bride in a cage. You cannot make that shit up. What happened next? Oh. Fragmentation. This whole past life, even though you thought you were doing the good thing, you got to see your shadow side pretty good. Because after a while, you started being calculated about your choices. Very calculated. The vibrancy, the trust aspect of you was shut down, closed down, done. You got very transactional, is what I can say. It's more about the story than the place and time. If I can get that in a bit, I'll try and get to that. But you could be in Deadwood, you could be Russian Bride, you could be Slavic Soldier. I don't know what. I don't know where in history or time this is yet. That's okay. It's the lesson that's here that's most impacting you now. This is, you do not want to sell yourself out. Your integrity is of a premium in this lifetime round, because you knew what it was like to shortchange yourself, and it pretty much cost you so greatly. The fragmentation that happened was transaction here, transaction there, transaction here. Like now we might see it like somebody that ultimately becomes a junkie because she sold herself short for too long. You've already had that experience in a really difficult format before. And it sounds like the cliche, and I'm giving it up as the cliche because you lived it in the reality. It's the cliche that's the modern reference. What it went down as was harsher than that, more separated, more isolating, more difficult, more soul-sucking, and in a short span of life. Here we have this offer again. This is repeating this. Here we have this offer of the Page of Cups, this creative imagining of how it would be. The Three of Swords, it's like blammo. You think it's going to be great betrayal. You cross over this section. The Two of Pentacles, you literally cross over, and you cross over as in exit stage left for your lifetime in this past life. The strength that you had to do this, to make this crossing over at the time, was good, and it was within your choice, within your parameter. It's like almost, you lived this so deeply that when you were done and colorless enough, you decided, okay, all right, I'm ready for the next lesson. The Two of Swords. You did get this stagnancy, and you missed this other part of yourself. It's like, okay, it's like, almost like you decided, okay, I'm crossing over now. I'm done. And it wasn't like you, made a choice to end your time and space. I'm being delicate here. But your heart was ready to be done. When your heart was ready to be done, it's almost like, now I don't know what happened. Let's take a look. Because something happened like as soon as this, it's almost like your higher angels came and just lifted you like, she's got it. Harsh. By Jove, I think she's got it. 11-11, Three of Cups, celebrate. Boom, boom, boom. A synchronicity. As soon as it occurred to you that you had done the saboteur enough, the role of the self-sabotage, the prostitute, as far as compromise the self, compromise the soul, compromise the spirit. As soon as you had said, enough, you're done, enough, you're just sick of it, you're done, enough. As soon as you realize, okay, it's almost like there was like this finality in your decision point in your mind, and okay, enough, celebration. It's like, all right, there's no more sabotage, there's no more addiction, there's no more chains that hold you back, there's no more caging that will be there. It cannot be. Where do we go in time? We're going back to the basic because I don't know where the time is, and I want to know, but I want to see it clearly. I don't want the actual imagery to distract me, so I want the basic. Where are we? We're in early European times when there was agricultural time. Early, past the point of humanity being nomads, past the point of you wouldn't be gypsies, but in the time of an agricultural society, when buildings and cities were first starting to thrive, but there weren't a lot of them. Maybe early Venice. This is way back in the Wayback Machine. Like, well, it's all relative, I guess, but somewhere the light was good. There were mountains, but there wasn't a lot of stability. The wood poles that they built, yes. By the sea, in the still and the quiet, yes. Empress in the marshlands out. Early Venice, they had, it was kind of weird, like Salt Lake has all the salt, and it's the lake, it doesn't do much, but it's Salt Lake, right? Early Venice had these salty areas too. And it's why Venice was built the way it was. And it was because the people that went through on the trade routes when they were first needing to farm, they had to be nomads for a while, and then they decided we're going to plant roots and farm. That's what I'm getting. I think it predates the knights. I think it predates what they would fight for. The stillness of this, the decision to work with the merchants and make something, transform into something else. Early Venice. That's a wild thing. Anything else you need to know? I wanted to know if you stepped off the cliff into something else, and you did. Feels like there was this life in about a 40-year span of time, and it was really difficult. Feels like this life came in, and this tells us about this, but it's also you were in the same region once again. And it feels like perhaps the same 200 or 300 years of time. This predates this. Yes. You dialed in again. It's almost like this one, it was such a big change. It's like, okay, I'm changing the channel on this. I'm done with this selling myself out shit. The universe steps in, gives you the 3 of Cups. Hooray, they've learned the lesson. Psh, dial into the next life. When are we arranging for her to go down? She needs to go down. When are we arranging for her to go down? She needs to go down. Chop, chop, motherfuckers. Let's get her down there. Yeah. Like within a century, the gift comes through. Within like a century. So if this was the year 1121, then it would be 1221-ish, within damn near 100 years. The 10s are coming in too strong. There was a completion, and this is the completion there. The angels loved that you got this. They loved that you were so clearly decided that when you were done, you were done. It's like, okay, they were so happy to see this, and that your soul had grown enough to the point. It was probably miserable as fuck here. And then when this comes in, where were you at? Where were you at? When this is twice down. Now, the second time down, I don't know what your thing was. The second time down, the lesson was inherent there. You're getting a refresher course on hold true. What else did she get in this particular one? She got the harshness of that other one. So we're 100 years later in time. 100 years later in the same region of Venice, where there's salty land that becomes more farmable. Okay, all right. What are we seeing here? We're going to Terra Mucha. I want to see about that other one. Let's take a look. Sorry I get snoopy, but I want to know. That's the excess. There's the critical cards. What is that about? Continuation of the story, in case you wanted to know. The cards just don't tell it any more clear, right? Lady and the Lion, I wanted to know the critical cards. This is what came up first. This is where we pick up the story. After that one, 100 years later, we pick it up. The Three of Wands is seen. The self that saw the beyond is now coming out. Karma is calling it forward. You were patient. The victory is here. The slow night, the page coming into their own here, answering the call to the higher self and carrying the sword of truth. You came full on. You came in very, very intuitive. You were able to assess things clearly. You were able to see things. You came in at a slightly higher station, not hugely higher station, but slightly higher station, meaning that you had a little bit more power over your own choices. You had a little bit more awareness of what you were offering and how, and this was a completion. This was a completion of this for this particular go-around. You answering your higher call here and deciding, yeah, I'm done with this selling out. Your higher self came in balls to the wall here on that one. Anything else? I don't know if you were a loner in this one or not. Completion, the worldview. Oh, you were widowed in this one. You weren't left without resources. Somebody crossed over in this one and you were widowed. Whoa, whoa, whoa. The victory came. You held your ground. You stood your own. You had a time where you had a little bit more station, but you were widowed, but you held your own. I don't think you went for any relationships that we would consider love relationships or anything like that. But I think you held your own. You had peace. You had quiet. You had victory there. It's like you needed a lifetime where you could be your true self and calm your nerves a bit. Your guardian. I didn't even know if this was guardian as to like a family member's kids or anything like that. But you passed this stage. You have the victory there. You're holding your own. You're sufficiently strong to set up boundaries, to set up clear boundaries, to be protective, and you were guardian. I think you guarded innocence is what you guarded. Childhood innocence, happiness, youth, that kind of thing. Because you had learned the lesson here about when you're in this previous time, you were so pawned, so sold out that you lost a piece of yourself. You were corrupted. The integrity that you had with your soul was stretched to its breaking. You decided, okay, it's at the breaking, and the angels are like, yeah, she's ready for the lesson. She's ready for the reboot. She's ready. She's ready. She's ready. And as soon as you're up there, blammo, they send you right back in. They want this to come high on the heels of the other one. There was something in this specific card. We can't go too far in here. We can't go too far in here. I'm asking, I'm wanting, and I'm getting a big fat fucking no. this guardian role, this protector of the innocent, the protector of the children, the one that stands in integrity and protects the integrity, holds their own, holds their truth, leads with their truth. This is the strength that you're playing into. This is how this, if there were an invisible card for the now, it would look like this. It's not muscling your way through, forcing your way through, no. But it is figuring out how you bring this in. And this is advocacy sometimes. It's standing up for those sometimes who can't. It's looking out for those who might be having a struggle in a very nurturing, protective way this time around. I'm wanting to get nosier, and you know I love to get nosier, and I'm getting shot down over and over, and I'm like, come on, come on. I'm getting like, all I can give you right now is this is still the theme of your life now. You learned about transactionalness. They were celebrating. The synchronicity on this was beautiful. It was a hard life, this one. This one was easier. You made a gain. And when the angel sent you down again to get this, it was so you could complete that and have that, carry the sword of truth forward. Rise to your higher self. To thine own self be true in this resurrected reboot. This is them, and then this is the angel, and you're coming in as the guardian now. This is the lesson that when you exemplify it in strength, it's exponential for those around you. It's exponential for those that are younger and yet to come. Okay, that's complete. I've shown you the cards as often as I'm going to. The strength, yeah, you are a strong motherfucker. You're very strong, and you've earned it at a high price. And it's a beautiful strength that you have. Yeah, that's complete. That's gorgeous.